What a way to celebrate your 50-year anniversary by missing the playoffs again for the third time in the last 5 years. But the Bitterbirds, we're here to recap the season anyway. Caleb Weiler, Brian Ryder, both here. I'm Adrian Vecchione. While playoff hockey is going on right now, the Flyers are fishing or they're on the golf course. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're not playing hockey.
Yeah, I would assume. I think I saw some tee times up on the Flyers website earlier today, so I'm pretty sure they're out on the golf course enjoying the nice weather that we've had recently. Definitely another disappointing season. Like you said, we missed the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years. One of those years was a shorter year with the lockout, so that was a little bit different. But out of full seasons, they've only made the playoffs 2 years in the last 5. So hasn't been a good time to be a Flyers fan right now, but hopefully things will turn around soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a disappointing year. They've been dogged by inconsistency the last couple of years, and like you said, they've missed in the last 3 out of the last 5 years, and we're not accustomed to seeing that as a Flyer fan base, as this team has consistently competed for the playoffs for a long time now, and we're kind of heading towards this full-on youth rebuild. So we've got there are some spots open now for some of the young defensemen, some of the young kids coming up. So we'll see. The off season, it should be interesting.
If you guys could kind of sum up the season just really quickly on your next go round, what would you guys have to say about it?
For me, you definitely see what Hakstol's plan is with the future and the young guys. You saw Robert Hagg for 1 game this year. You saw Anthony Stolarz for spurts. Ivan Provorov and Travis Konechny were on the team for the whole year. So you kind of see where this whole plan is going. And like Brian said earlier, as a Flyers fan, we're used to consistency in the playoffs. We made the playoffs, something like 21 times in the last 25 years or something like that. And as a Flyers fan, it's hard to go through a semi-rebuild like they're going through now. They're not going on a full-blown rebuild like the Oilers or the Maple Leafs did. But like you said, inconsistency. But for me, this season really wraps up the whole idea of future for Ron Hextall.
Yeah, I think you make a lot of good points there. I'm struggling to come up with a couple of words that really epitomize how this season went. And the only thing I can really come up with, if I had to give it maybe one word to sum up the whole year, would be inconsistency. It has dogged them for many years. And as we were talking off air, the Flyers are officially the first team in NHL history to have a 10-game winning streak in the regular season and then miss the playoffs. That's not supposed to happen. So they've got to do something in this coming off season, whether it be, giving some of the younger defensemen a chance, having a good draft. They've got to do something to not really accelerate the rebuild, but you've got to rework some things to get some more consistency going into next season.
Yeah, you guys mentioned the young guys for the future and see what kind of direction the Flyers head into next couple years. But 2 of those guys, pretty productive rookie seasons this year. Travis Konechny, Ivan Provorov. Overall, what are your thoughts on those 2?
Ivan Provorov was clearly the better player. He has been a bona fide number 1 defenseman for the second half of the season, if not more than that, for the Flyers. I think he played 18 games over 24 minutes, which is incredible for someone 19 years old anchoring the blue line that the Flyers have. It's not too pretty, and I think we're definitely going to see a rebuild there. But Ivan Provorov was fantastic after his first couple games of the year where he wasn't totally comfortable on the ice just yet. He had a couple blunders. But after that, there was nothing I could say that I wasn't happy about with Ivan Provorov's game. On the other hand, you saw Travis Konechny with a lot of ups and downs. He was healthy scratched a couple times. Then when he came back after that, he got hurt. So he missed, over 10 games this year. And they both put up the same amount of points. I'm pretty sure they both Travis Konechny was at 29. Ivan Provorov was at 30. And, Konechny played well, but if he wants to continue to get a lot of ice time in the top 6, he's going to need to round out his game a little bit more and continue to use his speed to get some scoring chances.
Yeah, so when we did the season preview back in October, man, that seems like a long time ago now, back in October when we were doing this, we continued to highlight, the 2 young kids in Konechny and Provorov that were coming up. And I think what this year has shown is that you have a legit number 1 defenseman in Ivan Provorov, even at the young age of 20. He led the team in ice time. You don't see mistakes from him very often. He had a couple games early on where he struggled, namely, that Chicago game from way back when he was like a -5 and he stumbled backwards and was making some unfortunate plays. But since then, he has asserted himself and become the team's brightest star on the defensive side of the game, of the puck. Konechny, for all his speed, and he's got really good hands, he had a bit of an inconsistent season. The 4 or 5 week injury notwithstanding, I think Dave Hakstol mishandled him a little bit by some of the healthy scratches, but you can see that the skill is there. He just needs to continue to play to develop.
Yeah. All right, just some numbers. Flyers went 39-33-10 this season. Grand total of 88 points. Missed the playoffs by 7. Yes, Caleb, I'm reading straight from your article. Flyers for Jacob Voracek, 20 goals, 41 assists, total of 61 points. No other Flyers player clips the 60-point mark. And arguably the best player of the season was Wayne Simmonds, scored 31 goals, surpassed the 30-goal mark for the second time in his career, second time in a row, 54 total points. Also the All-Star Game MVP. But the question I have now is there's a little bit of controversy with the captaincy. Claude Giroux, Wayne Simmonds. Giroux has been the guy, but Simmonds, people seem to want him now to be the captain. So I'll throw it to you guys. Who should be the captain of the Flyers?
Yeah, sometimes I can't absolutely not stand Philadelphia media when people are calling for the captaincy to be ripped off Claude Giroux's sweater. I think when it comes down to it, yeah, Wayne Simmonds is a great leader, and the guys really like Wayne Simmonds. And obviously I'm talking about this like I'm in the locker room on a daily basis.
Well,
it just seems like Claude Giroux is the natural leader of this team. He's been the captain for 5 years now, and it seems like the guys really look up to him. And he's more of a silent leader. You see Wayne Simmonds out there talking to the refs, doing different things. But when it comes down to it, I really think Claude Giroux is the guy who embodies the Flyers. And I love Wayne Simmonds, and I love Claude Giroux, but I just think there's no point in dissension where you take the C off of somebody's sweater and put it on somebody else. The Flyers are about to go into a couple seasons where they have a really good chance to not only make the playoffs but compete, and there's no reason to break up any chemistry that they might have by ripping the C off one player and giving it to another.
You know, I'm pretty torn about this whole Giroux Simmonds captaincy thing, because on the one hand, I do agree with you, Caleb, that they shouldn't come to Claude Giroux and say, hey, we're making a change, we're giving it to Simmonds, because I think that disrupts whatever locker room chemistry is there. But at the same time, I think that you need to have the production to go along with that leadership role, and Giroux hasn't had it this year. So if they decided to do it, I wouldn't be opposed, but I don't think you have to.
Is this where you guys are going to get the boxing gloves on again? Is it another Giroux debate looming?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I said Claude Giroux was still elite, and very clearly he's not. He only scored 58 points this year. He's still a very good two-way player, but he was battling with a hip injury all year, and you could see by the end of the year, he was almost playing at a point-per-game pace going into the end of the season. As long as Claude Giroux stays healthy in the offseason, he's going to play for Team Canada over the summer, starting in May. If he can stay healthy, I expect a bigger bounce back year from him. I don't think he'll ever get back to 93 point in a season elite status, but he's still a good player, and there's no need to cause that sort of dissension in the locker room where you're going to take the captaincy away from one player and give it to another. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right, Ron Hakstol. He's ready for the young pups now. He's ready, finally. So, okay, here's the question I'll post for you guys. How many years do you think it's going to be for the Flyers to contend?
So contend or to win, because I think they'll be contending within the next 2 years. I think next year they're going to make the playoffs, and then the year after that they're really going to make like a push for the Stanley Cup. But they're still going to be young then. I mean, that's only 2 years down the road. So Ivan Provorov will be 22, 23, probably still at the end of his entry-level deal. So you kind of have to find that sweet spot where you still have enough of your young guys on their entry-level deals where you're not taking up a lot of cap space with your good young defensemen and offensemen. I think the Flyers have a really good shot to win within the next 3 to 5 years. It's 2017 right now. There's a chance that they could win before 2021. That's probably where I would put the window between 2018 season and 2021 season, because you're going to have the older guys like Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, and Wayne Simmonds coming clearly out of their prime. while even though you have young guys going into their prime, you're kind of missing your core there. So for me, Flyers contending in 2 years, winning a cup within 5.
Yeah, that's an interesting question you posed there. I think that the 3 to 5 year window from now is a good barometer, but you're going to need to accelerate this rebuild quickly when Hakstol feels they're ready. You know, we've talked about when we were off air, they're going to have some spots open on the defensive side with Schultz and Michael Del Zotto leaving. The young kids coming in next year to play defense. They need scoring help. They need some young forwards. They don't have a ton. They've got Oscar Lindblom and a couple others, Rutzoff, who may or may not be ready for the North American game. But I think if they can do, get some good young scoring forwards in here over the next couple of years, 2020, 2021 is a good time, I think, where you could see them legitimately competing for the Stanley Cup.
Okay. Let's move on to the coach, Dave Hakstol. I'm seeing a lot of fire Hakstol tweets on Twitter. So, question is, what did you guys think of his performance this season? And I would think it's way too early to be firing him.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to fire Hakstol right now. The reason they hired him is because he coached college kids, and the Flyers have a lot of young kids coming up through the system. Mm-hmm. Why would you fire somebody who clearly has a specialty in working with guys to help them develop and mature and grow to be able to play in the big leagues? He played at North Dakota. He coached over there, and they were always one of the best teams in college hockey. So I honestly don't believe there's a reason to fire him. I don't think he was great this year. I didn't understand the benchings of Gostisbehere and the benchings of Konechny at the time. But if you saw the way that Gostisbehere played at the end of the year, you could clearly see they had some of his swagger back, and it kind of woke him up a little bit. He might have been a little laissez-faire moving through the season, but he clearly got his game back by the end of the year. And if he can continue to do that through the offseason and go into next year, that's going to be huge for him. I really don't think there's any point in moving on from Hakstol right now. Maybe if the Flyers are out of playoff contention with a couple weeks to go this time next year, then you might have to think about it. But at the same time, he's here to develop all the young guys, and it's not really fair if you cut them loose midway through all their development.
Yeah, as we know, as you've said, Caleb, sometimes the Philadelphia fans just want a head to roll just for the sake of somebody losing their job because we perceive our teams are underperforming. But you don't fire Dave Hakstol. He's only been here 2 years. Like you said, he coached in North Dakota, brought that team to a number of Frozen Fours. He knows how to coach young kids. Hell, he coached Jonathan Taves. If you fire him now, this whole rebuilding thing is going to blow up. You can't. You need to give him at least 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah, I agree. Now, unlike Doug Peterson, who I despise, I ain't giving him a 3rd year if he sucks again.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, this is a hockey show. Mike Vecchione, Shane Gostisbehere's boy, going to be a bottom 6 player. Thoughts on that signing from a couple weeks ago?
I think it's a great signing. If you look at all the teams in the playoffs right now, they're running 3 or 4 solid lines. So if you get a chance for Mike Vecchione to come in here and play a bottom 6 role at center, you kind of alleviate the older guys. You have a guy who's on an entry-level contract who you have power over because he's a restricted free agent, and he's younger than, say, a Chris Van de Velde, who's 30 years old, or Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who's 30 years old. And I think it's a great signing. You see him go out there. He's a great two-way player. He won, I think, like over 60% of his draws since he played in the 2 games that he played, which is huge in the NHL. It's all about possession. And he has a little bit of speed, too. So while he's not going to come in here and light up the world like Shane Gostisbehere did out of Union College, he's going to be a great bottom 6 forward, and it kind of opens up for other players like Sean Couturier and Valtteri Filppula moving forward into next year.
Yeah, that was an interesting move when I saw that they'd signed Vecchione, because I wasn't sure who he was. And then I did a little bit of research and saw that, he played with Gostisbehere at Union College. But from what I saw of him, the couple of games he played, he looks like a solid bottom 6 player. He's good at, like you said, he's good with draws. He's got that Philadelphia Flyer tenacity that we all want. But yeah, I was interested to see how he would, where he would go. I didn't realize right off the bat that because he was undrafted, that once his college career was over, he could just sign wherever he wanted. So he had his pick of, I think, Flyers, Rangers, and a handful of other teams. So I think you owe a debt of gratitude to Shane Gostisbehere for kind of convincing him to come here.
Yeah, for real. Last bit of news. Michael Del Zotto, Nick Schultz will not be returning next season. I'm assuming guys are fine with that.
Yeah, no love lost there. You can bring up players like Haig and Morin, and they'll be easily replaced. So I'm cool with it.
I do like Del Zotto, but I'm sure he was probably asking far too much money than they were willing to commit.
Yeah,
so.
Del Zotto basically played himself out of a contract in Philly.
Yep. We never talked goaltenders, so I'll let you guys talk about those now.
Carousel continues, as it always does.
Yeah, basically, it kind of stinks, but it seems like what the plan is that Ron Hextall signed Michael Neuwirth so that he could be exposed in the expansion draft. If he doesn't get taken, the Flyers re-sign Mason. They run with Mason and Neuwirth again, and then kind of move on from there. But it just seems like there's some sort of gentleman's agreement going on between Ron Hextall and Steve Mason, because if he re-signs him, then he has to expose Mason because they want to protect Stolar. So the Vegas team can go ahead and sign Mason if they want to, but that's assuming he wants to go play there. So if he wants to come back, they wait till the expansion draft is over, and then they sign Mason to another, I'd say 3 or 4 year deal. Wait for the young guys and Anthony Stolars and Carter Hart to come up.
So what about this? We've had goaltending problems on this team for 20 plus years. I don't like Mason that much. He's good, but I don't know if Mason's the guy to lead you to a Stanley Cup. Neuwirth is injury prone, and he might get taken by Vegas. What if we roll Anthony Stolars into next season?
I didn't know where that's coming from. Okay. Anyway, we forgot to talk about one quick thing as well. Joe Mullen, power play coach, longtime power play coach, will not return with the team. Flyers ranked 14th in power play this year, but at one point during the season, at one point during that winning streak, they were number 1. So thoughts on letting him go? Does it matter? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it clearly matters. If you want to get into the playoffs, you need to have good power play. You need to be in the top 10 in power play and the top 10 in penalty kill. And moving forward, I mean, their power play definitely became a little bit more predictable. But hopefully somebody can come in and switch it up a little bit. He has a ton of weapons there with Gostisbehere, Provorov, Giroux, Simmons, Shen. I mean, you had the 2 best players in the league for power play goals, Simmons and Shen. They had 16 and 15, I believe. And you have a great squad there, and they just weren't getting it done at the rate that they normally should have. So I can understand why they let him go, and next year we should see them be a little bit better.
I have no love lost for them not bringing back Joey Mullins. Number 1 power play unit has underperformed a lot of the season, although Shen and Simmons on the power play were pretty much lethal. So that's a good thing, but you want to see them finish higher than 13th or 14th on the power play. So I'm fine with them not bringing him back. Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up the Flyers news. We'll go quickly. It's NHL playoffs, obviously. So we'll do conference finals picks and we'll do Stanley Cup finals, and that's what we'll do. So who you guys picked?
All right. Let me see if I can remember who I picked. I think I picked the Ducks and Chicago to go into the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
And then the Caps and the Habs to go into the Eastern Conference Finals. And
I have the same picks.
Oh, sorry, I ruined it.
I'm an expert.
You are an expert. And then I have the Capitals going against the Blackhawks in the finals, and then the Capitals eventually winning the Stanley Cup this year. Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Well, I picked the Ducks in the Stanley Cup finals, so
I can't.
I picked the Caps over the Ducks, so that's our difference.
I can't pick the Washington Capitals because we know what happens to them in the playoffs. If they don't win this year, then they're going to have to blow that team up because they can't afford all those free agents. I'm going to go outside the box a little bit. I want Toronto to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I want them to play Edmonton because that would be awesome. As likely as that is.
I think Bill. Well, Bill Leifholtz, I don't know if the viewers, I don't know if you guys remember him. He did a couple shows with us. I think he's got Edmonton going into the Stanley Cup.
The final.
Yeah.
Have you watched that Edmonton team? They are scary good.
They lost their first game in overtime.
Aren't
Yeah,
they?
they lost
They got young players, right? They're like young.
Yeah, they have the best player in the league.
David, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Jordan Eberle. They're a good young team.
So Connor McDavid's the best player in the league.
Yes, correct.
Had the highest point total
Not
this year.
Sidney Crosby.
Well, if you're going off stats, Connor McDavid won the Art Ross. He scored over 100 points or 100 points this year, which was highest in the league. So.
And he's only 20.
I don't care about stats. I care about production and winning.
Yep, 30 goals, 70 assists.
Yeah, damn.
Although as much as we hate Pittsburgh in this part of the country, Edmonton and Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup Finals would be awfully interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, passing of the guard.
Yeah, Edmonton's going to be really, really, really good, huh?
They are.
Like it's like
it's about time it all came together for them. They've had, I think, at one point 3 or 4 consecutive number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, they got the Kansas City Royals treatment. They just kept it up, and finally, like everything just exploded, and Royals won the World Series.
And now look where the Royals are, back to being a mediocre team.
Yeah.
All you need is one championship.
That's true.
Yeah, the Royals, man. I mean, that's just a situation that's just not prime for success.
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals, Jesus. All right, final thoughts. Season is complete. I don't know what we're gonna do with shows moving forward, but we'll do something. I don't know, but you guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, final thoughts. Last week on April 7th, it was Adele's birthday, so happy birthday to her.
Oh, shit.
And tomorrow's
Adele.
my dad's birthday, so happy birthday to him. Lots of April birthdays. So happy birthday to all of them. Yeah, Flyers hockey's over, but definitely check out regular NHL playoff hockey because nothing is better than that. And it's gonna be a lot of good series coming up this year. So pay attention for the next 2 months, and we got some international hockey going on early in May as well. So be sure to check that out as well.
Couple final thoughts, sticking with the Philadelphia vibe here. It's good to see, as much as we had a bit of an underwhelming Sixers season, Ben Simmons is finally healthy. I wonder if that was planted by the Sixers to have him declare that he was healthy after the season was over. But good to see him finally healthy and talking to the media. Hopefully next year they actually, stay healthy and can play. Clay Buchholz can go jump in a hole because I don't want that guy on the Phillies anymore, and he won't be because of his injury. And I think in soccer land, Jim Curtin and Ernie Stewart might have their hands full because that team sucks.
Oh man!
They need to do something.
Quickly revolting against the union.
Oh,
Yes.
that was fast.
We're gonna have to do some union shows, Brian.
Maybe if they could win a game.
What's their record?
They played 5 games. They have 2 points. I think they're 0-3-2.
Oh Jesus, man!
They have not won a game yet.
What a year to start doing a union talk podcast.
I know.
Influencer.
The crazy thing is, Jim Curtin refuses to change they've stuck to this 4-2-3-1 formation, and it just doesn't work. And he's not adapting to what's happening, which is probably going to cost him his job at some point if they can't figure their shit out.
My final thought, sticking with the Ben Simmons theme. Last night, he blocked a 10-year-old, and he threw the ball into the stands, and it was hilarious.
That sounds.
It was awesome.
It was hilarious.
Sixers all season.
Watch this. You guys, it's on the Sixers Twitter. Like this kid. Do you see it?
Oh, I saw it. The kid goes up for a shot. Simmons catches the ball with one.
And he throws it in the stands. It's hilarious. It's great.
That's awesome.
I think several people had commented saying that kid is going to need therapy for the next 20 years or something.
Honestly, though, that scene right there, that Ben Simmons block, that was a perfect illustration of the 2016-2017 Flyers.
That's
stuffed and thrown away. So, there it is. All right. Another season is in the books, the 50th one in Flyers history. No postseason. Oh, well. Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright, I'm Adrian. Thank you. I just I don't know what that noise was. But about around 10:30, 11 o'clock, my residential scout, Brennan Albert, we're going to be doing more top 5 prospect lists. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in about 2 hours. So for this show, we're done. We're out. Go Flyers.
Go Flyers.
Yeah.
Peace.